Hi, Alys. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's really lovely to see you on the other side of the screen. And if you don't mind introducing yourself to our viewers.
Okay, I'm Alys McKeough and I'm a councillor at the Shire of Gascoyne, which is out of Carnarvon, and yes, it's a very big shire with very few people.
So how big is very big and how few is very few?
So there's about 300 voters in the electorate, so that's quite small, and it's a really large area, yes, with a large road network taking in, so yeah.
Wow, that's
I can't exactly
it's
remember
large.
the
So Carnarvon, and which other town sites do you have, or is it only Carnarvon that it covers?
No, Carnarvon isn't in it. It's just that some people don't know. The only town in it is Gascoyne Junction, and all that's in Gascoyne Junction is a Shire office and a tavern and a roadhouse. And
tavern is important.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where do you live? You don't live in Gascoyne Junction. Are you then? Obviously, there's no other town site around. So what do you do then? Where are you based?
Okay, so we live 100 kilometres south of Gascoyne Junction on a cattle station, which is 500,000 acres, and it's just my husband and I and children. We have 3 children, 2 of whom are boarding away in Perth at the moment, and yeah, so we run beef cattle.
My goodness, that's interesting. And you're a councillor as well. So how does that work? You're 100 kilometres away. How often do you have council meetings, and how do you get to attend those? How does that situation work? Because obviously I'm in the city, so for me it's just down the road.
Yes, so we meet monthly and everyone comes from a long way. So we've got 7 councillors on our shire. So 6 of us are from pastoral cattle stations and 1 lives in town. And so everyone travels a long way. Yeah. So some of them travel 300, 400 kilometres to come in for a shire meeting.
And that's a daytime meeting, I assume, not a nighttime meeting like we guys have?
Yeah, no, definitely during the day. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can miss those kangaroos on the way home.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, I don't drive during the nighttime outside of the city. Obviously, I drive in the night, I'm in the city. But as soon as we go outside into the regional areas, I don't drive because I've seen so many dead roos. And it breaks my heart. I feel so sorry for them. Yeah. So tell me, Alys, when were you elected to your council?
So I was elected in 2013. Yeah, so yeah, I'm in my 2nd term now. Yeah, ready for re-election next year. Yeah, and I really enjoy it.
So 2 terms down, and you're a mum of 3 and you live on a cattle station. How do you juggle all of these things? I'm assuming you're helping your husband on the cattle station because it's a hands-on kind of situation?
It is. So yes, I have a really good husband. Yeah, and so we work together, which I'm lucky because he's really supportive. So yeah, so if I have to go to a shire meeting, then yeah, the children stay home with him for the day, or yes. And I have had various helpers over time to help with, because we do school in the air, so sometimes I have teachers come up and help out for periods of time, which is fantastic.
So how long do you drive to the nearest bigger town, which is Carnarvon?
Carnarvon is our nearest biggest town, so that's a 2.5-hour drive. So 230 k's on dirt road, except for the last 20 kilometres. So
wow, yeah. Okay. And you've been a councillor for 2 terms now, and coming up to election again next year. Are you intending to run again for the council elections?
I will run again for the council elections if that's yes. If I'm still able to run for council elections, I will be. Yes.
Which brings me to another question, because I've heard a little birdie sing something about you running for state elections. Is that right?
That is correct, yes. Yes, so I've been pre-selected to run for the state election for the Northwest Central District for the Liberal Party, which is exciting. Yeah, it's challenging.
Congratulations, yes.
Thank you.
And have you actually started with your election campaign yet for that election, or not yet?
Well, I've started doing some, so started getting brochures and advertising material and talking to people. So you could say, yes, I have started. Yeah, just,
Do you anticipate it being much different to having been through 2 council elections? Do you think it's going to be any different in terms of what you do in the campaign?
Very different. I mean, with in council elections with such a small electorate, and I pretty much see most of the electorate, like as in the Shire of Upper Gascoyne, I see people quite regularly. So you're always sort of talking to people, and you get to know everyone that you live around quite well. And going for state elections is quite a big area. So the area of Northwest Central is really quite large. So it'll be a lot of travelling, and yes, and there's a lot of people.
Which big towns? Do you have any big towns apart from? I'm assuming Carnarvon is in that state election group.
Carnarvon's in there. Yep. So it goes pretty much from part of Kalbarri and all the way up, so through Denham, Carnarvon, Exmouth, and then you sort of go across right to the border. So just take in the whole state across to the border. So so you've got Meekatharra, Mount Magnet.
My goodness.
There's a lot to name, so.
Yeah, it's a massive, massive area. But you're obviously so used to big expanses and traveling long distances that it wouldn't make any difference to you if you were traveling to Exmouth or to Perth. For you, it's same.
Well, it is, yeah. You get used to traveling, and like the kids know, like when we get in the car, it's going to be a minimum of probably 3 hours if we're going somewhere at least of travel during the day. Yes.
And you do also something else during the daytime. You're a nurse, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. So I still maintain my registration, which I've always wanted to do, because it would be a shame to lose my training. So I work at Carnarvon Hospital, and they're really good to me because I just do blocks of full-time work, and that may keep up my skills and learning.
That's great. So, wow, you're juggling a lot. So what's been the best thing for you about having been a councillor or elected member?
I was the learning is amazing. So I was lucky enough to do my diploma of local government. That I learnt so much doing that about everything to do with council governance, the financials, that sort of thing. Also, the people you meet are fantastic. Yeah, and I've met some really amazing councillors in Perth and across where I live, and we've done some amazing projects in the Upper Gascoyne. We managed to secure funding to build a bridge across the Gascoyne River, which is something that the town has wanted for a long, long time, and that was a $10 million project.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's just one project, and we've actually managed to secure a lot of road network funding. So I think our Shire was up to in excess of $80 million of roadworks, which is we have amazing dirt roads.
Well, I was just thinking about it. That's probably one of your biggest things, being such a small council in terms of numbers, but covering such a large area, is that roads are a really big concern. I don't think you do much rubbish collection, do you?
Oh no, there's a little bit in the town, but no, not much rubbish collection. We have to do all our own out on the stations, which is what most people have. Most of the Shire stations, yes.
So you're not roads, rates and rubbish really. You're just like roads and rubbish. roads and that's right.
Right.
What's the last rates? Roads and rates.
Yes.
And then all these other things that council actually also do that people don't either know of or don't realise that councils do. We do so much more than just those things. So tell me, Alys, what's been the hardest thing for you about being an elected member?
The hardest thing would be, just when you start on council, you sort of have an idea about how you can change things, and there's actually I think it's really important people understand that it's actually a process, and it does take time, but once you get into those processes and realise how to change things using the processes there, then you can make a really big difference.
Yeah, it's true. It's so much to get a head around at first, but then I think there's always more to learn really as a councillor, because councils cover such a variety of things. and also it changes a lot of the times, and rules and regulations and things keep on changing. I mean, we're just going through amending the Local Government Act at the moment, or revisiting it. So it's interesting how that how those things keep you on top of learning. You can't really ever stop learning as a councillor, can you?
No, and yeah, there's so many changes and so much legislation that you have to follow, and you really, it takes some time to become really au fait with all of that, to become a good councillor, know exactly what you're looking at when you're looking at documents and making changes.
So if not elected members, if residents and ratepayers contact you, what would you say is the most general kind of concern or type of contact that come through to you regional councillors? Because I think it's very different to what we receive in the city. Yeah,
so I think mostly I guess it's quite different to the city, where I know my counter councillors and people who work councillors in the city get specific complaints. It's kind of a when being in a small rural community, people don't tend to ring you up and have this sort of, it's more of a, you see someone and they'll say, oh, what about this, what about that? And so we don't really get the formal complaints, and often, most of the time, it's usually about roads for us. So and
of course, yes. So you have to work well with the states and the federal governments, because that's where a lot of the road funding comes from.
It is, yes.
And Alys, what would you say to any woman that's watching this interview thinking, should I run? Should I not? What would you say to them?
I would say, if you want to do it, have a go, because, well, your chances are just as good as anyone else of getting elected. And I think that if you put your heart and mind to it, that you can achieve anything. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with us. I really appreciate it. And we wish you all the best of luck for your election next year. In a way, I really want you to be successful in the state elections, but in a way, I don't want you to be successful because I want you to stay with local government. So I really wish you, success and an enjoyable election, because elections are tough, but if you see it as a learning curve, then it takes that sting out of it. So good on you for reaching out and for trying to be even more that you already do to the community, as we've just heard in so many avenues that you give back to us. So thank you so much, and enjoy your time over here in Perth while you're having some good time with your children before you head back to your cattle station on 500,000 acres. I still can't get my head around how big that is. That's massive. That's all I can think.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Take care, Alys.
Thanks. See you later. Thank you.
Goodbye.